All right, everybody, we are back with Chapter 6 of Summer of the Woods, the Virginia Mysteries book, number 1 by Stephen K. Smith. Let's jump right in. This chapter is called The 4th of July. July hit Virginia that summer like a furnace. The temperature rose higher and higher, eclipsing 100 degrees. The ancient air conditioning system in the boys' house groaned from constant use, and the grass around the yard was slowly turning a crispy brown. It was too hot to play outside, so Sam and Derek spent hours plotting out their search for the missing treasure. Derek doubted that anyone else knew about the coins, since there surely couldn't be another map like the one he'd found in the box. But who knows? Those other kids could stumble upon it by accident any day. Then it would be gone. He was determined to get there first, but they hadn't been able to find a good time to sneak out. The next day was the 4th of July, and despite their protests to Mom and Dad that they had much more important things to do, the boys dragged themselves into the minivan. Mom assured them that there would be lots of fun things to do when they reached the park for a holiday cookout and fireworks with their aunt and uncle and cousins. "But, Mom, we really don't have time for this today," argued Derek. "Yeah, we have a lot to do," added Sam. "Very important things." "What could you have to do that's more important than our nation's birthday?" asked Mom. "How would you like it if we skipped your birthday?" "Did you know that a lot of important historical events happened right here in Virginia? I'm sure you'll learn about many of them in school this year." "Is this where Lady Liberty lived?" giggled Derek. "No, but there was a famous speech about liberty delivered by someone named Patrick Henry right here in Richmond," answered Mom. "Did he say liberty and justice for all?" added Sam. "No, that was Superman," said Derek. Mom laughed. "No, wise guys. Patrick Henry said, 'Give me liberty or give me death.'" "Whoa, that's serious," said Derek. "He must have really loved her." Sam gave Derek a strange look. "What?" "You know, Lady Liberty. That Henry Ford guy must have really loved her if he would rather die than live without her," explained Derek. "Oh, brother," moaned Sam. "Patrick Henry," corrected Mom, "and liberty is not a she. It's a thing. It means freedom. Which is why we think about it on the 4th of July, when America declared its independence, or freedom, from England. Patrick Henry argued that Virginia should join the Revolution, and they did. "Was it a New Year's revolution?" asked Derek. "Those are really hard to keep." Sam looked at his brother again. "Seriously, Derek?" Derek just laughed. "Here we are," shouted Dad, as they turned into the state park and pulled up next to their uncle's big pickup truck. Everyone piled out and brought all their food and supplies over to picnic tables under a pavilion for a tasty meal of burgers, hot dogs, and corn on the cob. A little while after the meal, everyone swam out to the middle of the nearby pond and enjoyed the cool water. Sam and Derek's aunt and uncle had a pair of retrievers that came along to cool off from the heat, and the two dogs ran and jumped in the water like they were born to swim. The boys threw a tennis ball to each other in the shallow area, and the dogs jumped back and forth, trying to grab every throw out of the air. An old wooden platform floated off the far shore of the pond. The kids jumped in and out of the water, judging each other's best cannonball splash. Uncle Drew said that the water was nearly 20 feet deep. When no one was looking, Derek gathered up his courage and did his very best dive into the water. At first he was scared, but as he got deeper down, he loved how the water grew ice cold where the sun did not reach. It felt like he'd escaped from the heat into some unknown glacial waters. Derek stayed down as long as he could in the cold water, and when it felt as if his lungs would burst, he kicked and pulled with all his strength back up to the surface. When his head broke through, he sucked in the warm air and smiled at the fun. After everyone had their fill of swimming, the families all dried off and walked over to the other side of the park, where the locals gathered for the fireworks celebration. Camp chairs were unfolded and set up in a row. A big blanket was spread out in the grass for the younger cousins to sit on. Derek stared up and watched the last pieces of sunlight slip from the western horizon as the sky faded into darkness. "Are there going to be screamers?" Sam asked his mom. "Well, your little cousins might get scared at the loud noise, but I don't know if they'll scream," she answered. "No, not screaming, Mom, screamers. You know, the fireworks that make a squealing sound." "We call those screamers, Mom," said Derek. "There's also bangers, poppers, boomers, crackers, sizzlers, plus a few more that I forgot. You'll see." "Believe it or not, boys, I've been to plenty of fireworks. More than you, in fact," said Mom. Before the boys could answer, everyone was startled by an enormous boom that shook the ground. "That was a boomer, Mom," shouted Sam. "I felt that one inside my chest." "I see what you're talking about," laughed Mom. And for what seemed like hours, they all stared wide-eyed as the heavens exploded in color and sound. On the ride back home, the boys rested their heads in the darkness as their van slowly crept along in the lines of traffic. It seemed as if the entire town was filing out along the same small country road back to their homes. Derek squinted his eyes until they were nearly shut and made the taillights of the other cars look blurry like fire bursts. "I was talking with your Uncle Drew at dinner," Dad called from the front seat. "He said that we could borrow the big tent if we wanted to try to camp out in the woods behind our house next week, once this heat breaks." "Awesome!" shouted Sam, suddenly alert at the news. "That would be so cool. I love camping." "How do you know if you love camping?" sneered Derek. "How many times have you done it? Just that one time when you were 2? You practically slept through the whole thing." "Yeah, but I loved it," shouted Sam. "Can we go tomorrow, Dad?" "No, it's too hot this week, but the weekend should be cooler," Dad replied. "I think there's an empty field on the other side of the creek that Mr. Haskins told me about. He said he used it as a campsite before, and no one minded." "Honey, isn't that where the—" started Mom, and then she whispered something that the boys couldn't hear from the back seat. "What?" said Sam. "Isn't that where the what?" "Mr. Haskins also said that a few years ago he saw a couple of bear cubs running down the hill when he and the landowner were clearing a trail. Which reminds me, we still don't know what those eyes that were staring back at them from the woods way back in the beginning of this book, we still don't know what that was." "But that was a while ago," answered Dad. "Bears?" asked Sam. "Forget it. I don't like bears. No way." "I thought it was snakes you were afraid of," teased Derek. "Bears too," said Sam. "Snakes and bears. They're both bad. Very bad." "You're afraid of everything, Sam." "Be quiet, Derek. You're afraid of the wind and storms." "All right," said Dad. "Don't worry. They won't bother us if we all keep our food put away and make plenty of noise." He glanced in the mirror back at the boys and chuckled. "I've never seen you two have a problem making noise. I think we'll be fine." Mom smiled and the boys laughed uneasily. Derek nudged Sam across the seat and leaned over to whisper in his ear. "That's over toward the boulder. Maybe we can get over there during the camping trip." "No way," said Sam. "I changed my mind. I'm not getting trapped in a mine. I don't want to be like Mr. Haskins' brother and fall in a hole. I might get trapped or eaten by a bear." "We'll see," answered Derek, and they settled back into their seats and closed their eyes. Soon they'd both drifted off to sleep, with visions of campfires exploding in the sky and brightly colored bears falling into holes. And that is the end. chapter 6. I can't wait to read chapter 7 with you, which is called The Night. I wonder what that means. Is that the night they go camping? Or is it when they get home, something happens that night? I don't know. Why don't you think about what you think the night is? And we'll see when we read chapter 7 what that means.